201 later that morning, the puppy nestled in her arms. "It's the most darling anniversary present you've ever given me. How did you know?" Stanley, never one to pass up credit he didn't deserve, straightened his vest. "Well, I have my moments, Helen. I have my moments." The roommates shared a look of pure, unadulterated relief. The dog was safe, their lease was secure, and Stanley Roper was officially the hero of the day. Chapter 5. The hero of the pub. The neighborhood pub, the Regal Beagle, was a sanctuary for Jack. It was a place of dark wood, dim lighting, and beer that was cold enough to forget your problems. But tonight, the Beagle was host to a shadow. A man, a literal giant of a human being with arms the size of Jack's torso, was making life miserable for the patrons. He had already insulted Jeanette's hat and Chrissy's laugh. "Why don't you do something, Jack?" Jeanette whispered, her face pale. Jack looked at the man. The man looked like he ate chefs for breakfast. "I am doing something. I'm practicing the ancient art of not getting my face rearranged." "He's a bully, Jack," Chrissy said. "Look at him. He just knocked over that old man's drink." Jack felt a surge of something. Maybe it was bravery. Maybe it was the third pint of ale. He stood up. He walked over to the giant. "Excuse me," Jack said, his voice an octave higher than usual. "I think you owe these ladies an apology." The giant turned. He looked down at Jack. He looked at Jack's thin arms. He laughed. It was a sound like tectonic plates shifting. "Or what, little man?" Jack took a step back. "Or, I shall be forced to ask you again." More firmly, the giant stepped forward, looming over Jack. Stanley Roper, who had been sitting at the bar trying to nurse a toothache, suddenly spoke up. "Leave him alone." Roper barked, though he didn't move from his stool. "The kid's got a steel plate in his head from the war. One hit and you'll kill him, and then you'll go to the chair." The giant froze. He looked at Jack. He looked at Roper. He didn't want a murder charge over a runt with a metal skull. He grunted, turned, and walked out of the pub. The room erupted in cheers. "Jack, you were so brave." Chrissy squealed, hugging him. "You stood your ground," Jana said, looking at him with newfound respect. Jack looked at Roper. A steel plate. "I had to say something." Roper shrugged, finally downing his brandy. "Besides, I don't want to have to find new tenants. It's a seller's market for the rest of the night." Jack Tripper was the hero of Santa Monica. He didn't bother telling them the truth that the only metal in his head was a few fillings and a lot of wild ideas. Chapter 6. The Rent Money Mystery. The month ended with a crisis that threatened to collapse their domestic bliss. The rent money, $300 in cash, was missing. "I put it in a white envelope," Janet cried, tearing apart the sofa cushions. "It was right there on the shelf, under the radio. I took the radio to be repaired," Chrissy said, her eyes wide with realization. "But I left the envelope. I remember. I put it somewhere." Panic set in. They were already a month behind. If they didn't pay Roper today, he would finally have the excuse he needed to bring in higher-paying tenants. "We'll call the police," Jack decided. "We'll tell them we were robbed. If the police tell Roper it was a burglary, maybe he'll give us an extension." They went through with the charade. They ruffled the apartment, knocked over a lamp, and called the precinct. But when the officer arrived, a cynical veteran named Sergeant McGraw, he wasn't buying it. "No signs of forced entry," McGraw noted, chewing on a toothpick. "And you say you left $300 in an envelope marked rent, right in the open?" "We're students," Jack said. "We're Navy. We're victims of our own optimism." "You're faking it," McGraw sighed. "Next time, break a window. It adds character." As the officer left, the roommates sat in the wreckage of their staged burglary, feeling like total failures. Then the door opened. Stanley Roper walked in, looking quite pleased with himself. "I came to tell you," Roper started, "that I'm taking you all out to dinner tonight. My treat." The roommates stared at him. "Dinner?" Johnette asked. "What about the rent?" "The rent? You already paid it." Roper laughed. "I came up yesterday to fix the sink while you were out. I saw the envelope marked rent, so naturally, I took it. I even left a receipt in your mailbox. Didn't you see it?" The silence in the room was deafening. Jack looked at the overturned lamp. Jonna looked at the police report on the table. Chrissy looked at her pigtails in the mirror. We thought we were robbed, Mr. Roper," Jack whispered. "Robbed? In my building?" Roper scoffed. "Not a chance. I keep this place tight. Now, come on. I'm hungry. And Helen's wearing her new dress. It's see-through, unfortunately." As they followed the landlord down the stairs, Jack Tripper realized that life in apartment 201 was never going to be simple. It was going to be a series of misunderstandings, close calls, and discount cakes. But as he looked at Jonna and Chrissy, he knew he wouldn't have it any other way. They were a family, a strange, dysfunctional, 70s-style family. And as long as they had each other and as long as Roper didn't find out the truth, they would be just fine. The sun set over Santa Monica, casting long shadows over the palm trees as the sounds of laughter and a few grunts from Stanley faded into the warm California night. Chapter 7, The Soulful and the Socialite. Life in Santa Monica continued its unpredictable rhythm. For Jack Tripper, that rhythm usually involved the rhythmic whisking of eggs. He had entered a prestigious local culinary competition sponsored by the Santa Monica Gastronomy Club. The grand prize was $500, a fortune that could finally pay off the mysterious plumbing repair bills Stanley had stuck them with last Tuesday. "It has to be perfect, Johnny," Jack muttered, his eyes darting between 3 different timers. He was attempting a chocolate Grand Marnier Soulful. "The texture needs to be like a cloud made of velvet." "It smells like a cloud made of heaven," Chrissy said, leaning over the counter. Her nose was inches away from the oven door. "Can I lick the bowl?" "No. The structural integrity of the batter depends on the residual sugar content," Jack shouted, then immediately softened. Wait, okay,